It began like any other morning in the empire of Avalora, a vast colonial power that stretched across oceans, glittering with wealth stolen from 100 conquered lands. The capital Lysandra awoke to the echo of church bells and the distant rumble of cannon drills. No one knew that within 24 hours, everything, centuries of rule, the illusion of power, the empire's pride would collapse because of one man's mistake. The sun rose slowly through the fog, casting a golden light over the marble domes of the imperial palace. Ministers arrived in carriages, soldiers marched through the cobbled streets, and merchants opened their stalls along the Grand Canal. Life moved with the rhythm of confidence, the kind only an empire at its peak could afford. But deep inside the Ministry of Defense, a telegram arrived, a simple coded message only 12 words long, and it carried the seed of catastrophe. The message was meant for the commander of the Eastern Fleet, stationed at the port of Vara. It was an order to prepare defensive maneuvers after reports of enemy ships near the border. But the man decoding the telegram, Lieutenant Arden Vale, made one fatal mistake. He misread a single word. Instead of defensive, he translated it as offensive. That one word changed the course of history. The empire of Avalora had grown rich through steel, trade, and conquest. Its colonies spanned continents, its armies unmatched, and its emperor worshipped like a god. But behind that glittering facade lay a nation exhausted by ambition. The people were weary of war, the treasury nearly empty, and whispers of rebellion grew louder in the outer territories. Still, the illusion of strength had to be maintained. Newspapers printed propaganda about the empire's unshakable glory. Portraits of Emperor Leontes were hung in every school, every train station, every home. His sharp eyes, his golden armor, symbols of dominance in order. In truth, the empire was standing on thin ice. One wrong move, one misunderstanding, could shatter everything. And that misunderstanding came at dawn, on a rainy Tuesday, when Lieutenant Arden Vale sealed the telegram, stamped it with the imperial seal, and sent it to the Eastern Fleet, unaware that his mistranslation had turned a defensive alert into a declaration of war. The Eastern Fleet, commanded by Admiral Corvin Dre, received the telegram at 5:42 a.m. Dre was a man of iron, disciplined, ruthless, and loyal to the empire. He didn't question orders. When he read commence offensive operations immediately, no delay authorized, full authority granted, he obeyed without hesitation. By sunrise, the empire's fleet had launched a full-scale assault on the neighboring nation of Voria, neutral power with whom Avalora had just signed a peace treaty. The first cannon fired at 6:03 a.m. The explosion echoed across the sea, signaling not just the start of a war but the end of an empire within hours. The Vorian navy retaliated, backed by secret alliances Avalora didn't know existed. By noon, 5 nations had declared war on the empire. Inside the imperial palace, Emperor Leontes III was dining with his council when the news arrived. "Your Majesty, the Eastern Fleet has attacked Voria." The emperor froze. The spoon in his hand trembled. "Attacked? Under whose authority?" "Under yours, sire. The telegram bore your seal." A silence heavier than iron filled the hall. Then, fury. The emperor smashed his goblet and shouted, "Who authorized this madness?" When the truth surfaced that a clerk had mistranslated a single word, the emperor's face turned pale. He whispered, almost to himself, "One word. One word may destroy 1,000 years." By the next morning, enemy ships were sighted off the northern coast. The empire's colonies revolted. Railways were bombed. Banks collapsed. The illusion of control dissolved overnight. The emperor ordered mass mobilization, but half the generals refused. Some declared loyalty to the rebels. Others simply fled. The people, once loyal and proud, turned against the throne. Rumors spread that the emperor had lost his sanity, that he executed his ministers in rage, that he burned his own archives to hide the truth. Whether true or not, the empire began to eat itself alive. 3 days later, the capital itself was under siege. The sound of artillery echoed through the marble streets. Smoke rose from the docks. Civilians fled through the canals, clutching what little they could carry. The emperor, once the master of continents, now hid in the palace basement surrounded by the ghosts of his ancestors' portraits. As the rebels stormed the palace gates, he looked up at the imperial banner fluttering in the wind. It was tattered, blackened by smoke. He whispered, "So ends the dream." When the city fell, no one celebrated. Even the victors felt hollow. An empire that took 4 centuries to build was erased in a single day, all because one man, in one office, misread one word. Historians would later debate whether the fall of Avalora was truly caused by that one mistake or whether the mistake was simply the spark that ignited an already dying flame. But in every history book, in every lecture, that telegram became a symbol of human fragility, of how the greatest empires are not destroyed by enemies, but by errors within. Lieutenant Arden Vale was later found dead in his quarters. Some said it was suicide. Others whispered he was silenced to erase the empire's shame. His final letter contained just 3 words. "Forgive me, Emperor." Centuries later, the ruins of Lysandra became a museum. Tourists walked through broken marble halls where once decisions of war and peace were made. A plaque at the entrance read, "One word ended an empire." The story of Avalora became a warning to future generations about pride, miscommunication, and the terrifying power of human error. Because in the end, no empire, no matter how mighty, can survive the weight of its own arrogance. The fall of Avalora was not just a political collapse, it was a collapse of faith. People stopped believing in perfection, in the myth of invincible power. They learned that behind every empire stands a chain of fragile humans, and that a single weak link can bring down the world. In the archives of the ruined palace, among ashes and dust, historians discovered the original telegram, faded, torn, barely legible, but one line remained clear: prepare defensive maneuvers. Next to it, a handwritten correction, in ink darker than blood, offensive, and thus history recorded its cruel irony that an empire didn't fall to bullets, nor bombs, nor betrayal. It fell to a single word, asterisk.